The outside world is a vast and diverse place filled with people, machines, trees, and much more. At least, that is what we have inferred based on our sensory experiences. In reality, all that exists in the physical world is space, time, energy, and matter. Even these fundamental components are subject to debate among scientists and philosophers. Everything else that we perceive is an interpretation made by our brains as we process these four basic inputs. Our perception of space is based on three dimensions, as indicated by our senses. We perceive the dimensions of space through light energy reflecting off surfaces, which is processed by our vision. Echoes provide auditory cues about space, as demonstrated by bats that use echolocation to navigate. We also sense space through touch, feeling the shapes and textures of objects around us. Time is a mysterious concept because we do not directly sense it. Instead, we create our perception of time internally. This makes our sense of time highly flexible and subject to manipulation, especially during interactions with other people. Our brains can stretch or compress our perception of time based on various factors, making it a unique and subjective experience. Energy comes in many forms, including heat, electromagnetic energy, such as light, microwaves, and radio waves, kinetic energy from movement, and chemical and nuclear energy. Sound is another form of energy, consisting of waves of kinetic energy created by air molecules striking our ears. Our senses detect different types of energy, allowing us to interact with the world in complex ways. Matter consists of the physical atoms and molecules that make up solids, liquids, and gases. We detect matter through various senses. We feel heat energy from matter through touch, smell gases, and taste solids and liquids. Interestingly, the deeper we probe into the nature of matter, the less substantial it appears. Atoms are mostly empty space, and electrons are more about energy than solid particles. Our five senses, vision, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, serve as our interface with the outside world. They allow us to gather information and make sense of our environment. Our attention acts like a torch, focusing on areas of interest. By moving our bodies and turning our heads, we direct our senses and limit what we perceive. There are two zones of attention: a small, focused zone where we concentrate our senses, and a broader zone of awareness that our brains fill in later. Men and women tend to differ in their focus of attention, with men typically focusing on one thing at a time, and women often multitasking. Vision is often considered the primary sense because it provides a wealth of information about the world around us. However, it is also complex, requiring significant neural processing to turn visual input into useful information. Our vision is limited by the spectrum and intensity of electromagnetic radiation to which our eyes are sensitive. Too bright a light can hurt our eyes, yet we can see with surprisingly little illumination. Hearing is usually the second most important sense. It allows us to detect sounds around us and is crucial for communication through language. Our hearing range is limited to frequencies from about 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Sounds above 100 decibels become painful rather than useful. Touch connects us to the world physically. Our hands are particularly important for this sense. We sometimes communicate through touch, which can be intimate. Emotions are also detected through touch, with feelings like happiness, anger, and sadness manifesting as bodily sensations. Taste is less about communication and more about pleasure. Salespeople know that good conversation over a meal can be persuasive. Much of what we perceive as taste is actually smell, which is why food tastes bland when we have a cold. Smell is closely related to taste and can evoke strong emotions. It is directly wired into our cortex, bypassing the midbrain, making it a powerful sense. Smell can evoke early memories and strong emotional reactions, from disgust to pleasure. Our sense of smell is incredibly sensitive, capable of detecting just a few molecules of a substance. People have different preferences for their senses, likely learned in childhood. Some people favor visual information, while others might prefer auditory cues. Those who lose one sense often compensate with another, such as blind individuals developing remarkable hearing. Visual signals are often the most preferred, as they provide immediate and constant information. People with a visual preference might struggle more with blindness than those who lose other senses. Others might be more attuned to sounds, enjoying music and picking up subtle intonations in speech. Touch, taste, and smell, while evocative, typically provide less information for communication but are important in specific contexts like mealtime. Each person has their own levels of preference for these senses. One of the mind's most amazing abilities is to recreate the outside world internally through memories and imagination. We often cannot distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. Our reactions to people are based not on their actual intentions, but on our interpretations of their actions. When communicating, we alternate between the outer world and our inner thoughts. We sense the world around us and interpret it internally, often predicting others' actions or daydreaming about unrelated topics. Some philosophers argue that the outside world might not exist as we perceive it. What we interact with is not the world itself, but our interpretation of sensory input. Thus, reality is a concept constructed by our minds. Understanding sensory preferences can enhance communication. For those with a visual preference, use visual language and cues. For auditory-focused individuals, pay attention to tone and sound. Ensure pleasant smells and avoid bad odors, as subtle scents can influence interactions positively. By appreciating the complexity and variability of our senses and perceptions, we can better understand ourselves and improve our interactions with others. Hey there, YouTube fans! Do you want access to amazing content? Hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Stay updated with all our latest videos. Join our community of awesome subscribers. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.